Hi, my name's Heather Taylor. I'm with Heather Taylor State Farm Insurance. Been a business owner. I'm into my 14th year now. So been doing it just a little while. We do everything from auto, homeowners, renters, life, disability, retirement planning. Wherever we can help, we definitely try.
My name's Dave Bittner. I'm with the Indiana Small Business Development Center. And now my role is a business advisor for an entrepreneur, anyone with a crazy idea. I cover just rural counties, no large cities or anything like that. And I live in a rural county myself. So I'm one of them as I meet them every day.
Thank you for watching. Today we have Heather Taylor from Heather Taylor State Farm Insurance. Kayla suggested that she came on the show, and I'm really excited to get a chance to talk with her, as well as Dave Bittner joining us from the Indiana Small Business Development Commission. I want to welcome you to the Small Business Squad, brought to you by Distinct, where we help small business owners achieve more with less hassle. At Distinct, we know how overwhelming it can be to juggle everything. That's why we offer unlimited website support, professional videography and photography, and back office assistance through our dedicated team of remote experts. We're here to give you back time to focus on what matters most, growing your business. Let us handle the details so you can handle success. Heather, Dave, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Great to be here.
So Heather, I want to jump in and kind of see where the conversation takes us, but
Sure.
I'd love for you to start as early as you're willing and kind of tell us like your journey to starting a business and how and why you got started.
So I graduated college in December of 2008. So the economy was starting to crash, couldn't find a job for anything. The one thing I said I was never going to do was go work for State Farm. And I ended up at State Farm at corporate. Many people don't know, but I'm born and raised a corporate baby. So my mom, my mother-in-law, my husband, my sister, being born and raised over there, it's just kind of in your blood and in your nature. So I was very fortunate. I got offered a job at a time where not many could find a job. So I went to work internally at corporate and then decided that the agency path was something I wanted to pursue. We ended up drawing like a 2.5 hour radius from my hometown, and Greencastle fell in the mix. David and I were not married yet, but we did a community study together and kind of found some things we loved about Greencastle, and it was our first and actually only pick and where we applied. And so we were very fortunate to get the opportunity. And so we picked up and moved to Greencastle. We didn't know anyone. We didn't know a soul. And it's home now. We absolutely love it. Love raising our daughter here. Very blessed to have a community that we do, for sure.
That's awesome. What year was that?
So I got the agency in 2011. So I was appointed in about this time in October of 2010. At that time, you entered the program, there was a 9 month training period. And so I started training in January of that year. Got all my licensing done. So being an agent, you have to have property, casualty, life, and health. And then I also have a Series 6 and a Series 63. And then now I have my 65. So a lot of licensing in a short period of time. And then basically learning the ins and the outs of insurance, our systems, and here we are.
So Heather, you took over an existing business.
I did. The agent retired about the time I was appointed. The agent retired, so there was about a period of 1 year where the book of business that I took over for was serviced by another agent. But yes, I did take over for an existing agent.
Was it hard to retain clients? Was there a real strong bond with the previous owner?
Yes, there was. Being a young female, I was 24 when I started, and being an outsider definitely had its hiccups and its challenges. We also found it very rewarding for some, though. They appreciated a new start and a new opportunity. I think, as you talk about failure is not an option, that's kind of one of my mottos that we talk about. I pick up, we moved. We didn't have an option to fail. And so I think that kind of dedication and determination really helped get us to where we need to be or where we are today.
And so that should have been a real culture shift, I would imagine, from the previous owner.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
always is. Yeah. And a brand new team as well. So I didn't have any existing team members to start. And so when we moved over here, we were interviewing brand new. We really did kind of start from the ground up.
Gotcha. Thank you.
it's interesting, like having known you now for quite a few years.
Hmm.
Uh, I would never believe that there was, an issue or retention issue or that perception of being an outsider. You're so ingrained in the community. What do you think are some of the efforts and some of the things you've worked on to kind of make your mark and be such an impactful part of the community?
I think you have to love where you live.
Hmm.
And I think you have to just dive in and it has to be everything to you, right? Like you don't take the community for granted any second of the day because you're no good without the community. And so really trying to get in deep doing, you know, whether it be a farmer's market, we started kind of there. We've done First Fridays. Now we've grown and we've got our events that we do in the summer with the food trucks, which is huge and so great. Our Myers Market cookout that we do, that's turned out to be one of the best things. And so just trying to find different ways that we can get in and meet all different sorts of people. And at the end of the day, I will tell anyone and everyone, even if I'm not your option to help you, I will guide you in the direction of where we can. And so I'd like to think that helping mentality, I mean, that's kind of the other piece. You got to be willing to help no matter what.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's interesting. I'm sure, Dave, I'm sure you see this a lot, but when I first came to the community, had kind of a similar experience, right? A young business owner, not from here, took quite a while to kind of build that up. And I imagine that's just a pretty common rural community issue for business owners, right? In a city, it's easy to blend in, and most people aren't even from a city to begin with, a big city. But it sounds like, from your experience, and I would agree from my experience, putting in that effort, getting involved, truly loving. I don't think you can fake that.
No.
Um, and just putting in the work and being a community leader. Dave, do you see that a lot?
Absolutely. Genuineness matters, especially in small towns in rural America. How you act and how you interact around people and with people, um, that's really the face of your business. It's you can have a product, you can have a service offering, you can have anything you want, but if you, to Heather's point, if you don't have that in you to say, look, whether you work with me or not, happy to get you networked and to the right person, word gets around, and you don't do it for those reasons. You do it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if that's your personality and that's the way you carry yourself, then clearly this type of community is one that's a good fit.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Heather, why don't you talk us through kind of what are some of the day-to-day challenges that you encounter in your business?
Transparently, insurance has kind of got a bad rap right now. Rates are rising. Our claims process is changing for everyone across the board. And so we went from being very personalized as an insurance policy, right? Your insurance needs to protect what you have. So it's been kind of commoditized. And so people they want the lowest and expect that it's going to do 100% of what they want them to do. And so my biggest challenge, and I think my team's biggest challenge right now, is trying to justify the rates that we're charging, what we're paying out on claims, and then justifying if it does have to take a change, why. Unfortunately, insurance is not a maintenance policy. So an old roof doesn't mean that I need to pay for a new roof. And so walking people through that right now and trying to justify that and helping them educate to that. And then truly, what's the insurance doing? I saw you sipping on your Starbucks coffee. I love mine as well. And so if you drop that hot cup of coffee at Starbucks and it splatters on somebody, what do if they sue you, do you want me to pay the bill or are you okay paying the bill? And do you understand that that's very much a part of our reality now? And then I think people are just kind of grouchy right now. We've got some really great ones, but I think more than not, people are just kind of grouchy with the state of the world. And so reminding them that at the end of the day, no matter what, I'm on your side. My team is on your team. We're advocating and here to help you. Just come to people, come stand beside them. Don't come at them, right? Like we will provide any solution possible, as will almost any business owner that you meet. But come to us and bring us the problem and let us help provide the solution. I think those are probably the two biggest.
I've always found in the insurance, I come from a background of water and wastewater treatment, and ours was a service. We
Sure.
sold equipment, but basically we serviced and maintained large municipal water treatment systems to, Intel Corporation, all these huge. But we also had small customers as well. But what I found was, hey, we have a 5-year contract to service you,
Hmm.
and during that time, if you never hear from us, things are going well.
Hmm.
But once something bad goes down and you have to react, how you react, you get that 1 second of approval or not. And so
Yeah.
in the insurance business, I could see that as well. I'm paying my premium, everything's fine. The years go on, all of a sudden something happens, you expect the world,
Yeah.
and that is really tough to then tone down that fire that's just been lit. So that must take, not just knowledge of insurance industry, but knowledge of people. Do you feel like you connect well with people, and that's the key to this?
Yeah, I think, to your point, we sell an intangible product. You can't touch or
Mhm.
see your homeowner's insurance. You can touch and see your home, your car, but you can't touch and see the value that I'm selling. So if you don't see my value at the end of the day, that's the issue. I think you've got to have a good idea of what people are expecting from the beginning of a conversation. And so I took a story once from my mom. She was really upset. She had some issues with some stuff she was picking up from a grocery store. I don't even remember why. And she got transferred 4 different people. And finally, she got a manager on the phone. And the manager picked up the phone and goes, I hear we have a problem, and I'm here to help you fix it. So tell me from your standpoint, what's the problem and what solution are you looking for us to provide? And then it kind of sets those guidelines as to what we're looking for. And so some of my conversations, I just have to go into it with, what are you looking for me at the end of the day? What solution do I need to help provide? I can't promise that it's going to happen, but if you can lay those cards on the table, it definitely helps, right? To know what they're looking for. And then I go back, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep. Have you read that book?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So the lady with the dented can, that's my favorite thing ever. And I tell my team all the time, I'm like, guys, that's their dented can today. That's not your dented can, that's theirs. And so as long as you understand that this lady, she's not mad at the clerk, she's mad at this dented can. At the end of the day, they're mad at the problem. They're mad at the dented can. They're not mad at us. So
Mhm.
just being calm and talking through that, but managing your team through those emotions too, right? And then not taking it
Sure.
personal from a standpoint. They're not coming at me, they're mad at the situation. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was looking at my bookshelf. I don't think I have it on my bookshelf, but
Oh,
great
that's one
book.
of my favorites. I
Yeah.
literally laid in bed and laughed. Like it was just so good.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Um, so what's a key lesson you've learned from a mistake you've made in running your business?
Where you put your energy is everything.
Mm,
So, we all have trials and tribulations, and some days our computers work and some days they don't. And so if you choose to focus on the negative, you're always going to see the negative, right? I mean, it's
Mhm.
going to prevail. And
yeah.
so we try and focus our energy. We're realists. We know that things are hard, and it's okay for us to say at the end of the day, that was hard. But tomorrow is a brand new day. We're not going to dwell on it. And we're going to choose to focus our energy on the positive. What's the good that came from it? So your computer didn't work for an hour. Did you get your desk space cleaned up? Did you talk to a coworker and get
Mhm.
to connect? Did you get to stop and talk to a policyholder for longer? And
Yeah.
so what was the good that came from even the hard? So I think
Yeah.
Jocko talks about finding the good in every situation, right? There's a
Hmm.
problem. Good. Now we get to show our value. Good. Now we get to do this. And so really, I think early on I didn't do as good of a job at focusing my energy on the positive, and I found myself sometimes down those rabbit holes. Probably about 8 years ago, I really shifted, and it made a difference in everything. I think I just became a happier person. My husband will even tell you I shifted. It crazy to think that it made that big of a difference, but it did.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dave, were you going to say something?
Well, that hit home with me as well. I that was a lesson learned in my leadership career as well. That and how I was acting and how I was, not getting myself in that place. People were in a great mood, and then all of a sudden I show up,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and here the team gets in a bad place, and so you realize you're always on a stage. But I really that connects well with me, that understanding of what can you control, what can't you control. Let's move away from the negative, get to the positive, but don't bury your head in the sand. Use it as a lesson, and then move forward from that, and then rally the troops. That's a great one, Heather, for sure.
I think, though, to your point, that stage that the business owner is always standing on,
Mhm.
that's hard. Like, we have life stuff that goes on too. We have days that are hard. And so, who are you surrounding yourself with that, man, in the minute that you do fall into that, because we're human, it happens. Who's going to pull you up out of that and go, hey, we need to reshift and refocus energy? Or how do you catch yourself so that you don't stay in a place like that if it happens, right? You have to learn
Um,
all of these things as you go. Leading a team is hard in itself, but trying to remember you're on that stage, and you're right, they are pulling off my energy all day long. It adds a whole nother level to it.
Yeah.
mhm.
I had a colleague one time call me out. I had been in a position of leadership for quite a while, but I always hid my emotions. I always hid, anything related to me. And then at one point, he pulled me to the side and said, "Look, at some point, you're going to have to show you're vulnerable.
Mm.
It's okay to do that. Do pick your spot, but it's okay to do that." And that was really really hard for me to finally say, you know what, all right, I'm going to tell a group of management that reports to me, where I am and where my head is, and but once I did, I think I gained a lot of respect, and I realized that was a good move.
I've done pretty good with showing my team my personal standpoints and some of that stuff, but from the community, I had someone challenge me about showing my vulnerability to the community standpoint. So, went on the hiking trip to Canada. It was absolutely amazing. Coming down a mountain though, and I was so out of my element, and I was very vulnerable. Like, I'm pretty tough and all the things, but I was crab walking down this mountain just to get me down to where there were some trees and some things like that. And so, I had someone who
Jeez.
wasn't on that hike with us the next day say, "You had some women say it was really great to see that vulnerable side of you, that you have to remember. People know you as Heather Taylor State Farm, but it's great for them to just see Heather Taylor too." And that was just this past summer. That was in June. That was really eye opening for me. So I had done a great job, I think, with my team, but going outside of that and showing the community that vulnerable side too, that was an interesting concept. So yeah, I echo those emotions all day long, Dave. That's hard to do.
So Heather, you kind of mentioned this in some ways, but when it comes to like burnout and staying motivated, how do you take care of yourself while also managing the business?
So I have been pretty dedicated at taking care of myself. I am a very strong 5 to 6 days a week. I'm in a gym. And so my physical and mental, that's definitely keeps me sane. Um, my gym time is scheduled actually on my calendar. So if it's a 5 a.m. day that I've got to go, it's on my calendar for 5 a.m. I've made it almost my non negotiable. I'm very fortunate on Fridays. I get to talk to customers, but I don't physically have to see anyone. And so I'm running to the gym at noon on my lunch hour because my day is sectioned to where I can do that. So definitely a strong workout routine is one of the things. And then I also have learned over time to feel when my burnout is coming. And so I know at a certain point that I can feel it coming on, and I know I either need an afternoon or I need a morning,
Mm,
or almost quarterly now, maybe every 5, 6 months, I need to take the week and I'm going to run really hard. That's just my personality type. I almost run until like I can't run anymore and then I fall over. And so I think they call them, I had a business coach tell me once I was more like a racehorse. I'm not a plotter or a trotter. I'm just going to run until I can't run anymore. And then I had to realize that when I can't run anymore, I have to stop and rest, and then I can come back and run again for a while. So it's just a matter of recognizing that.
huh.
And I think it's so hard as business owners. You're on this island, and so you think, oh, I can't rest. I don't have time to rest. I can't stop. And actually, you're doing yourself worse in the long run because you're not stopping.
Absolutely. I
Yep.
agree with
Yep.
scheduling it like on my calendar. I have some time for me, whether that's working out or reading. But if it's on the calendar, you know, it's non-negotiable. So I really appreciate that.
I had a technique because I was a goer as well. But and what I realized is I was really pulling myself away from the family. I wasn't present enough with my wife and kids. So I had this game I used to play where I still to this day I write in a book. And before I left the office, even if it was just two things that I knew I was going to wake up in the middle of the night and say these are the things I'm worried about. I would write them down in the book, and I'd close my notebook. And to me, that was a euphemism from in my head to say, okay, work is closed until tomorrow, and
Mm,
and otherwise I'd be up at night thinking about the issue and all that. So that tended to be a good how do I want to say like self coach method of you know what I'm going to write down these major things. They're not going anywhere till 6 in the morning tomorrow, and now I'm going to go home and get a good night's sleep and be with the family. And that
Yeah.
that one really helped me.
I really like that. I think sometimes, especially in today's world, right, where you're always connected. You know, in my case, my cell phone is my work phone, is my personal phone. So finding any way to have that separation has really been helpful for me. And like one thing I've started doing is my new wallet has a notebook in it. And instead of going to my phone and trying to put an idea in my notes app, which will lead to my email, which will lead to some Facebook time, I have everything in this little notebook. And then, you know, when I'm at a computer where I can have a little more control over what I'm doing, take my notebook out and put it into wherever it needs to be in my digital world. But that's worked really well for me, and just kind of one of those ways, like you said, of separating, you know, that mindset.
Yeah, it's hard to do, especially in a day and age where you're so connected all the time, right? Like you really,
Yeah.
until you put it down to sleep at night, you're really not.
Mhm.
I've got a friend who's a business owner, and her phone is almost always on no notifications allowed. And so she doesn't hear the ting and she doesn't hear all of that stuff go off. And for her, she checks it when she needs to, and then she's more present all of the
Yeah.
time. And I've actually toyed around with that a little bit, maybe trying that technique because you know the dopamine goes off as soon as you get a text message. You need to know what it
Yeah.
is. Um,
Mhm.
so just a great concept from her that I've definitely taken.
I all my notifications are off on my phone except for phone calls and text messages. And for me, people who call me or text me are normally family. I don't really get any business calls or texts. And it's probably the single biggest thing I've done to reduce anxiety in my life, because I would always feel like I need to answer that email immediately. And sometimes I did, but most times I didn't have to. So having, you know, I don't even know when I'm getting an email. So nice, and kind of helps me control that. But it was hard. It was hard to transition to
Yeah.
that.
The only way that we transitioned to that was probably back earlier this year. My team actually monitors my emails now, and
Hmm.
they're able to help me delegate as to what they can take care of versus what I physically need to touch. And so if I
Yeah.
need to be in the loop in something, it's dragged and dropped into a folder. And now I went from working an inbox where I'm getting 100 plus a day. Now I'm looking at a to-do list that is a lot less, and then gives them the ability to do their job and do it as well as they can. And so
Yep.
that was one of the best things we did this year.
Yep.
Heather, that is great. I mean, I love that. Before cell phones, well, actually, just as in the advent of cell phones when they came in, now my team felt like, oh, I'm going to call Dave for everything and just get a stamp of approval that, you know, okay, I did the right move. And I told them, I said, look, guys, I'm not going to return your call right away unless it's a safety issue, a legal issue, or somebody's going to get hurt, or we have a client that we're going to lose. If it's none of that, but your expectation is you're going to take care of it, and then you're going to ask forgiveness later, or you're going to tell me what happened. But and to your point, Heather, now they're growing. They're clearly feel like they're part of the team, but they're reaching milestones in their own development, and it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, in my eyes, you want me touching the big stuff when you've got a house fire, when we've got someone who's passed away, when we've got a claim that needs assistance. You want me in the big stuff. And so you don't need me changing out your car because you want me when it matters. And so, but yeah, the duplication of myself and giving them that knowledge, that's what's taken our business in the last couple of years and has really, that's the reason that we're growing as we are. And it's so fun to brag on my team too. One of my girls, she's absolutely just killing it on the business line side of things. We've written some big stuff lately, and she's doing it all on her own. And I was initially showing her how to do it, and now she's taking it and going, "Hey, do you want to check me?" And I'm like, "Do I need to check you?" She's like, "Well, no, I think I'm good." And I'm like, "I'm sure you're great."
I wouldn't be doing my part as a business owner if I didn't take this opportunity to kind of pitch. One thing that Distinct over the last couple of years have started doing is that remote back office support team, and delegating my email to my team is something that's been huge. I agree with you completely, and we do that for a lot of clients as well. So if you're someone watching this and you're a team of one or a team of two, and you don't have someone that can take that on, that's something Distinct can always help with and do that. We're working with someone right now in the trucking industry, and they have a certain type of email called a rate request that they get multiple times a day from clients and potential business opportunities. And it's a kind of manual process that right now the owner's doing, and we're helping bring that into our remote team. So we'll monitor the inbox, respond, and do all that work for him because his team can't do it. So a great tip, and I'm really happy whenever I hear someone that's delegating their inbox, because it's not easy to do at first. Sometimes you have so much going on in your inbox. Maybe some of it's even personal, even though we all try our best not to keep personal things in there. So it's a hard first step, but I'm happy it's working for you. What advice, Heather, would you give someone who's starting their business?
Talk to as many business owners and entrepreneurs that you can and get any advice that they want to give. It may not apply to you today, but I'm guaranteeing later there will be something that triggers that back in your mind. And then also don't forget, although your island feels really small, there are other people that are in your shoes. Don't let it feel that small, and don't forget to take a break. Just reach out to anybody and everybody. One of my favorite parts about Kayla is when she was opening, she and I were comparing things, and we have very different businesses, right? But some of the things she was going through and was feeling as a new business owner, I was able to say, "Oh my gosh, I've been there and I get that." So just remembering you're not alone.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always tell people, businesses I'm working with, that I work with a wide variety of industries and just people in general, and so many of the concerns, the things that keep you up at night, even the good things are similar across industries. So I love that. I think there's a lot you can learn from talking to any entrepreneur. So on a kind of similar note, this audience is targeted towards other business owners for the most part. So I guess maybe this next question will look at it from a business owner standpoint. But if someone, let's say, is in Hawaii, I'm assuming you can't work with someone in Hawaii, can you?
Not yet, but hopefully
Okay.
one of these days.
Okay. Well, until you can, let's say they're in Hawaii, they can't work with you.
Yeah.
What should they look for in working or selecting someone to work with their insurance?
A team of people is one of the biggest things, but also engagement and involvement. And so I'm going to look and see how involved in the community they are, how engaged they are with their team. I'm going to look for sometimes how long they've done it. I want someone who is not, tenured is great, but I want to make sure that they're still kind of on the front side of the career too, right? So looking for someone who's, not complacent, I guess, at the end of the day, right? You want someone who understands that customers and policyholders are a gift because they don't have to work with us.
Right.
And so I think sometimes you can just tell by interacting with someone how, like you said, how genuine and how much they care. And
Yeah.
so to me, that's kind of what you're looking for. Sometimes it's being able to call them direct and going, "Hey, I understand I'm going to work with your team, but can I have 5 minutes of your time?" We do that a lot. But that stuff is probably what I'm looking for. And then financial strength in a company. If you're going to pick somebody outside of State Farm, make sure that they can pay what they say they're going to.
Is there something you wish you knew or you wish more people knew about being a business owner?
I think from a personal standpoint, a lot of people think because I'm Heather Taylor State Farm that when we push all this money back into the community, when we do all of that, that it's actually coming from State Farm. And at the end of the day, it's not. So what I get paid, I pay my team and my electrical bills and all the things. And then that money goes out into the community. And so we've always put my team and the community first. And so just remembering that even though I have State Farm next to my name, I really am a small business owner. And when we're supporting that local little league team or the swim team or doing food truck Fridays, that stuff really is coming out of our pocket. And so just remembering to say thank you.
Mm,
And that, man, when you hate to tell them no, you got to remember your budget too. And so you can't drain yourself and what you've got going on to take care
yeah.
of them too. So no, while it's not favorable, it does happen and it's okay.
Yeah, that has to be the most common small business dilemma that I see. You
Yes.
want to say yes to everything,
Yeah.
and you have to find a way to differentiate between what you can give to and what you can't give to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't make any profits, and you wouldn't be able to give to anyone.
Right. Exactly. And
Yeah,
it is hard. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I've started using. A couple of years ago, I created a life mission statement. I forget why. I think I was reading a book that recommended it, but
Mhm.
I kind of narrowed in on I love living life and giving life, and by that I mean helping others achieve what they want in life. So I've started to narrow as a business owner when someone's coming and asking for money. If it doesn't fit within that personal business or mission statement, really, having to say no. Otherwise, I'm so guilty of saying yes, 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 yes,
Mhm.
yes. And
Yep.
even then, I was invited to a fundraising breakfast the other day, and just really pulled on my heartstrings. And it did fit within giving life. In fact, it was more saving lives. And I'm just
Mhm.
sitting there like crying, like, "Oh, we're out of budget, but sure."
Right.
Um, it just really like struck me. Who's a business owner you admire?
Locally, one of my favorite, and it's probably no secret, is Piper
Mm,
Baxter. She not only owns one business, but a couple, and she's dipping her toes into something else. And I will tell you, that girl is always smiling and her energy is contagious. And so for her to manage what she does as a wife and a mother, and then that business owner side of things too, yeah, I definitely admire that.
yeah, absolutely. Do you think we should get her on next?
I think she should be your next one, 100%.
Are you ready for rapid fire questions?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
I'm gonna start my timer. We're gonna do 60 seconds. I've never done this before. I think 60 seconds is probably good.
Okay.
Uh, but we'll see. You're the guinea pig, unfortunately.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite business app or tool?
Mm, Wodify.
Okay. One word to describe your leadership style.
Contagious.
Okay. Your go-to way to relax.
The gym.
Favorite social media platform for businesses.
I like Instagram.
Okay. Favorite business book.
Would you deem The Subtle Art of Not Giving a business book?
Yeah, you can count that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that one.
The last thing you Googled.
We are taking a trip, and so I need to make sure I had the right website to get the e-ticket to get into the country. So that was the last thing I Googled.
That's awesome. And the buzzer just went off. So last question. Most productive time of the day.
Mm, when the phone isn't ringing
Mm,
and no one is here. So 5 a.m. to like 8 a.m. is really crunch time. Business app, when it comes to me though, Wodify is what the gym uses. So that's probably not the best answer for that one. You may want to
mm,
change that one.
that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your best business app you use?
We use Outlook, but that's not anything. We're so boring. I don't know that that's a great question for us.
So
Email is
corporate.
really not that exciting. Yeah. Canva's been pretty great as far as
Yeah.
working up some of our material and things like that. So, but one of my team members uses it and does the creation. I don't use it. Couldn't
That's
tell you
fair.
how. So
That's fair. We'll say Canva then.
there you go.
That's awesome. Well, that's all the questions I have scheduled. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you want to be included? And I know we did your pitch already, but is there anything else you're thinking?
No, I think we hit everything. This was absolutely wonderful and great
Yeah.
and so
Thank
fun to
you.
be able to dialogue and talk about everything. Dave, I appreciated all of your insights too. I think that it's great to have somebody else on here too that understands and connects, especially on that leadership, that stage things, right? So you asked me what my characteristic is, and contagious, to your point, Dave, it could be contagious in the right way or contagious in the wrong way. And so it's making
Yeah.
sure you're checking that when you walk through the door.
Yeah.
Hey, Heather, last question for me. Are you and your team going to make your 2024 goals?
We are going to fall short in about one area. I'm at the drawing board as we speak and trying to correct that for next year.
Okay.
We are interviewing for 100% remote. I had a posting go nationwide the other day, and so I've got a couple candidates, one from Colorado, one from Montana, that are kind of in the final stages. And so I'm hoping that other piece is going to help correct that for next year. But otherwise, we've done well. We have a lot to celebrate. Even though we fell short in one area, we've done so well in all the others. And so we really have nothing to complain about or hang our head about.
Good. Good. Congratulations.
Great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congrats. That's awesome. And
Thank
great
you.
question, Dave. I just added that to my list.
Yeah.
Great question. So Heather, for the last thing, I want to try something new. I want you to look at me, but I'm Piper, and I want you
Okay.
to tell Piper she's next on the Small Business Squad podcast.
Hey, Piper, you're going to do this. I'll let you know about it.